Hey friends, I just want to talk for a moment about rosin, in case you have some questions at home or if your grown-ups are trying to help you with practicing. Rosin can be a little bit tricky. I've been getting a lot of questions this week now that we're a few months into the school year anyway. So I have a bunch of different rosins here. I want to show you the different types. They all work basically the same. It might come in a wooden trench like this, and it might be a dark color, like this is a dark rosin. It might come in a plastic case and be a square. And still, this has the wooden trench, but you can see that this is a lighter color rosin. And I've got a bunch of other styles here too. This is a one that's specifically for base. It comes in a plastic cup, and it's stuck in here, but it's got a wax cup instead of the wood trench, and different widths, different sizes, but they're all basically the same. Um, Rosin is basically made out of tree sap. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Some other chemicals added, secret recipes, and then it gets cooked and cured and all sorts of things. So it doesn't matter what size or shape your rosin is. It doesn't matter if it's a dark color or a light color. It all works the same. And I always have these little tiny red ones. Got plenty of them extras at school in case students need them. Okay. Um, so when you are putting your rosin on, some teachers think it's really. Some teachers will scratch it with scissors or a key or a coin or something, and you can see that there are some scratch marks on here. It's fine to do that. I personally have never done it. I've never felt the need to, but it's totally cool if you do. So before you put the rosin on the bow, you have to make sure the bow is tight. And as you can see here, this is really loose. You can see how it's moving around and it's kind of hanging and it's shaking, right? So I'm going to tighten it, and it's not really specific for me to say you're going to turn it 4 times clockwise or you're going to turn it 6 times. It's not exactly like that, but it is a screw down here. So the little metal part does tighten, and you just like any other screw, righty tighty, lefty loosey. So you tighten it until the hair looks stiff to the bow, but the bow still needs to have a little bit of curve to it. It should still have a little bit of a smile. If you tighten it to the point where the bow is totally straight, or if you really over tighten it, the bow will start curving the other way. That's bad. Don't do that. All right. We've been talking about this a lot in school, where I'll just tighten the bow for the students and I'll say, this is how tight it needs to be. See what it feels like and try to remember what it feels like. So when I press on the back of my hand, I can get the hair and the stick to touch each other, but I'm using a little bit of weight to make that happen. I'm not. It's not a very light press to make that happen. Just that's kind of a starting point, okay? And notice I'm not touching the part. I'm not touching the hair with my fingers. Your hands get sweaty, or your fingers might be dirty, and then all of that gets on the bow hair, and then that'll get on the strings, and then the bow won't work great. So we want to keep the hair as clean as possible. And yes, it is horsehair. It comes from the tail of a horse, and the horses just get a haircut and it grows back, right? So I'm going to take the cake of rosin. I'm going to put it on the hair, and notice that if you've got one of these wooden trench styles, I'm going this way so that the wood is not rubbing against the bow hair either, because that defeats the purpose. All right. So you can do a couple of different ways to do it. All right. You can do nice, long, slow strokes all the way from the tip of the bow to the frog, back and forth. All right. And that's usually enough if you do that a couple of times, a few times. I never count how many times I do it. 3, 4, 5, 6. It doesn't need to be 15. That's probably too much. Although it is hard to put too much rosin on a bow, it's possible. And sometimes students in school will see me, if they need a lot of rosin, there's not enough rosin on the bow at all, I might do more like this. That doesn't work so good in the middle, but it works well at the tip and at the frog, just to get a little bit of extra rosin at the points where the bow changes direction. And then I'll do my long back and forth like that. And that's it. like I said, it's really hard to use too much rosin. And if you bow and you feel like you're not getting a good sound, if it sounds kind of thin or wispy or airy, there's not enough rosin on the bow. The point of the rosin is it creates friction and it helps the bow hair stick to the string. Okay. All right. Keep up the good work and happy practicing, friends. And I will see you at your next lesson.